What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
Someone just broke in?
Someone broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, and the kind of crime no one ever imagines could come from inside their own home. On a quiet November night in 2010, in a peaceful Canadian suburb, a group of armed men stormed into a family home, tied everyone up, and opened fire. At first, it looked like a violent home invasion, maybe a robbery gone wrong. But within days, investigators uncovered something far darker, something so twisted it stunned an entire country. Because the truth wasn't about strangers breaking in. It was about a daughter who planned everything. This is the shocking, unraveling story of Jennifer Pan, the girl who hired hitmen to kill her own parents.
Pan somehow survives what was meant to be his execution.
I'm okay. My dad just went outside screaming.
Do you think your mom is downstairs too?
I don't hear her anymore.
Introduction. Jennifer Pan seemed like the perfect daughter. Quiet, obedient, respectful, and dedicated to school. Her parents, Han and Beach Ha Pan, were Vietnamese immigrants who had worked brutally hard to build a life in Canada. They were strict, no doubt, but they believed deeply in discipline, education, and success.
The Pans were the epitome of an immigrant success story. Han Pan and his wife Bic were Vietnamese boat people who escaped to find a better life.
They wanted their children to have a future better than anything they ever had. But behind the closed doors of the Pan household, things were not what they appeared. And behind Jennifer's perfect smiling image, a storm was building. A storm that would eventually lead to murder. The pressure of perfection. Jennifer grew up under what many called tiger parenting. Her schedule was tightly controlled: piano lessons, figure skating, schoolwork. Everything had to be perfect. By 8th grade, Jennifer began experiencing intense pressure. She wasn't doing well in school, but she couldn't bear the idea of disappointing her parents. So she did something that slowly became a habit. She started lying. Small lies at first. A grade changed here, a report faked there. But as high school went on, her grades kept dropping. Instead of trying harder, she simply created a second life. A life built on forged report cards and imaginary achievements. When her parents believed she'd been accepted into Ryerson University, she kept the lie going for years, even pretending to attend classes, buying textbooks, and staying at friends' houses to study.
She bought textbooks, she had highlighters, she had notebooks. She would tell her parents about professors and exams and people in her class. And her entire family knew a complete false history about her education career.
In reality, she was living a double life, sneaking around with her boyfriend Daniel Wong, a guy her parents had forbidden her from seeing. To Jennifer, the lies felt like survival, but every lie she told only dug the hole deeper. The double life. By 2008, Jennifer's entire world was fake. Her parents believed she was studying pharmacy, volunteering at hospitals, and preparing for a bright future. None of it was real. She spent most of her time hanging out with Daniel, going to clubs, and escaping the pressure she felt at home. But she always had to return to her parents, who still believed she was the perfect daughter. And that's where the real problem started. Her parents eventually discovered the truth: the fake university, the forged documents, the lies. Everything collapsed. Han and Beach reacted the way strict parents would. They tightened control. Jennifer's phone was taken. She couldn't see Daniel. She couldn't go out unless supervised. She was treated like a prisoner in her own home. Daniel broke up with her shortly after, beginning to date someone else. And Jennifer was left alone, trapped and furious. For her, this wasn't just discipline. It was humiliation. She felt cornered, and her mind drifted somewhere dark. The murder plan. Jennifer and Daniel eventually reconnected, but the relationship wasn't the same. And this time, the conversations took a terrifying turn. Daniel told her about a man he knew, someone who could make people disappear. A hitman. Jennifer didn't react with shock. She reacted with interest. If her parents were gone, she believed, she'd inherit the house, the money, and finally be free to live the way she wanted. By the spring of 2010, Jennifer had started discussing the plan seriously. She spoke with multiple people, including Lenford Crawford, a man involved in petty crimes, and David Milvaganam, who would eventually become one of the shooters. The price? $10,000 for both of her parents. And on November 8, 2010, Jennifer Pan gave the killers the go-ahead. The night of the crime. It was supposed to look like a home invasion. Around 9:30 p.m., 3 armed men entered the Pan family home in Markham, Ontario. Jennifer opened the front door for them, claiming later that they forced her, but investigators would prove she let them in willingly.
Police are able to link the time of the text to this exact moment right here, captured on home security video from across the street. Police believe that's Jennifer turning the light in her bedroom on and off, signaling she's unlocked the front door.
The masked intruders tied Jennifer's hands loosely behind her back using a shoelace. Then they moved through the house, grabbing her parents and forcing them into the living room.
A gunman ties Jennifer's hands behind her back with a shoelace and drags her from room to room and ransacks the house.
Han Pan fought back, and for that, they shot him twice. He collapsed but unbelievably survived. Bish Pan begged for mercy. They shot her multiple times and killed her instantly.
Han Pan somehow survives what was meant to be his execution.
My dad just went outside screaming.
Do you think your mom is downstairs too?
I don't hear her anymore.
Jennifer remained upstairs, pretending to be tied up, even calling 911 while the killers fled the house. In the call, she cried and acted terrified, but her hands were loosely bound, and she clearly had access to her phone.
I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. Questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing.
Her performance was convincing, at least at first. But the truth was about to catch up to her. The investigation. Police were immediately suspicious. First, Han Pan survived, something Jennifer and the hitmen never expected. He awoke in the hospital and told detectives something that changed the entire case. He said, they were talking to each other. They seemed to know Jennifer.
Her dad, Han Pan. He was shot in the face but lived and told police his daughter lied about being tied up to a banister during the attack. In fact, he told police that he actually saw Jennifer buddying up to the gunman who killed her mother.
And she was not tied up. That was the turning point. Second, Jennifer's 911 call didn't match her story. Her calm moments between screams, her ability to handle the phone, the loose bindings on her wrists, everything looked staged. Detectives brought her in for multiple interviews. With each interview, her story changed slightly. But the real breakthrough came when police used a non-verbal analysis technique, basically watching her body language, tearing apart her timeline, and putting pressure on the inconsistencies. Finally, Jennifer cracked. She admitted she orchestrated the attack, but in her version, she only hired the men to kill her. Detectives didn't buy it for a second.
Not much was stolen. There was a Mercedes and a Lexus in the garage. They weren't stolen. There were TVs, there were devices, there was money that was found in the house, which wasn't stolen. Thieves that get away into the night without cash that was left on the counter aren't very good thieves.
Digital evidence, text messages, phone records, and witness statements all pointed to one truth. Jennifer Pan planned the murder of her own parents. The trial. The case went to trial in 2014, and it became one of the most watched courtroom dramas in Canada. Prosecutors laid out everything, the months of planning. The payments made the text messages coordinating the attack, the staged home invasion. And Jennifer's motive, freedom from her parents' control and a life with Daniel Wong. Jennifer cried throughout the trial, insisting she never meant for her mother to die. But the evidence was overwhelming. In the end, the jury found Jennifer Pan guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder. Daniel Wong guilty. David Milvaganam guilty. Lenford Crawford guilty. Jennifer was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years, plus another sentence for the attempted murder of her father. She will likely spend most, if not all, of her life behind bars. Aftermath and impact, the Pan family home, once a quiet suburban sanctuary, became a symbol of the unimaginable. Han Pan survived, but he lost his wife and the daughter he thought he knew. He completely cut all contact with Jennifer. In a heartbreaking victim impact statement, he said, "I lost my wife. I lost my daughter. I don't feel like I have a family anymore." The community was left stunned. How could a seemingly gentle, well-behaved girl orchestrate such brutality? The case sparked national debates about parental pressure, mental health, strict immigrant households, and the hidden lives young people can lead behind closed doors. But none of those debates changed the horror of what happened. The final reflection. Jennifer Pan's story is not just a crime story. It's a chilling reminder of how lies can grow, how pressure can twist a person's mind, and how desperation can turn into violence. She could have told the truth. She could have asked for help. She could have walked away. Instead, she picked murder. The perfect daughter wasn't perfect at all. She was planning her parents' death and almost succeeded. And that is the horrifying story of Jennifer Pan. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on how you think justice will unfold, and don't forget to subscribe to Judge Wire for more real-life crime stories like this.